Right now he should be dying, but he will not because he's level 50 in a starting area. So I think you're a Stormcaller right now, which is ideally suited for killing everything in 10-foot radius. So you see he's already earned a few rewards from playing, but we're pushing through to close the rift. Each rift is handcrafted and can show up at any of our placemats in the game. There are literally thousands of placemats in our game, which are areas that we can run rift events in. And in the beginning of the game, these events are pretty simple. They're kill a bunch of mobs. We teach you how the mobs work. Sometimes they involve interesting pulls. But eventually they become sort of primers for dungeons. And as we connect, these rifts connect to the stories in the zone because all the monsters in our zones come from rifts at one time or another, or have come from a rift at one time or another. So we try to prime mechanics that you might see in dungeons, or you might see at the end of the game like raids. So as you get further in the game, rifts become more complex, more interesting. You'll see that a scar is left on the land after rift, so you'll know that dynamic content has happened here. And our dynamic content knows how many people are on the server. So we know how many people are in a particular area, we know how many people are in the zone, which is very important for invasions. When there are 400 people on launch day and we send an invasion against a hub, if it's one invasion of 3 mobs, that's going to be a bit of a joke. So we can scale dynamically based on the number of people around a rift when it opens, around each stage, so every time players are moving, more players enter each stage, we can scale the difficulty. But most important is for our zone invasions. We need to know how many people are in a zone, how many people are in an area, so that we can launch different scales of zone invasions, different interest and complexity levels. We have a video of one of our zone invasions because, again, they're a bit, well, dynamic, so I can't guarantee that one's going to show up as we're watching, but we have a video from our last beta to show you what is happening and what will be happening on launch day and every day if we can help it. Last of all, I'm working now on some world events which will accompany our first content update, which will come soon after launch. World events will be like zone events happening across the entire world. And this isn't meant to be like Encourage, where you donate all of your trade scale resources so that level 60s can see a new instance open. This is every zone, every player is going to be involved. The same strategies that we use with our zone events to make sure that level 50s can't come and just disrupt them. They actually have to play them too against our giant colossi. We've designed several different combat formulas so that level 5s and level 50s can fight against colossi in both zone and world events and have a fantastic time. Right now he's cheated his way up to one of our raids. That's Greenscale, which is the imprisoned dragon god of the life plane. As you work your way through our story, you'll find out the story of the dragons that the planes are trying to invade to free, and the aims of Regulus, who is actually locked outside the ward and is the dragon god of death. I guess I'll end a little bit with our endgame. We will have one of the most robust endgames of any vanilla MMO, as they say. Every single one of our dungeons is available at the endgame with new bosses. It's leveled up, it has new loot, and you'll get to see the story of that dungeon evolve. So in the case of one of my favorite instances, Deep Strike Mines, the death cult called the Endless is actually mining in this mine, and there are several different bosses to defeat, and you try to learn their story. And at the end, you'll get to this gigantic door that has only been partially unearthed. In the expert version at level 50, you can actually go through that door and discover that the Endless were trying to get into the Titan vaults to corrupt the Titans and steal their power. That's true of every dungeon. There'll be additional bosses, as well as upgrades of the bosses that you've already fought. You'll get to see their expert mechanics. We have raids, as you can see, that get rather intense for one person. Yeah, I think Greenscale will actually take off if you start doing a little bit of damage to him. And he's already been slightly corrupted by the Plane of Death. We also have Rift Raids. Rift Raids are the sloppy cheeseburger to Instance Raids gourmet dinner. We want a specific amount of people for these Instance Raids because they're beautifully tuned, they're very difficult, and we want to make sure that elite guilds and new guilds have a interesting time trying to get through them, playing through the interesting mechanics. We have tons of advanced mechanics in our Rift Raids, but we encourage you to bring as many people as you want, because Rift Raids are our new spin on the classic open world raiding, which has been a very, I'd say, hot political debate for other games and for guilds in those games about who gets the pull, and who gets the kill, and who gets the loot. But hopefully we've solved a lot of those problems with our Rift Raids, or at the very least, made something entertaining that people can debate about in the future. We also have our war fronts at the end game, and hopefully our overworld PvP, and the levels you can grind through both our factions and our PvP, and with the planes themselves. So that's pretty much the sum of our presentation here. Just a quick overview. I think I'm doing more in-depth stuff with each of you afterwards. But I'll end on a note about our beta. I hope that you guys have gotten a chance to play in some of our beta events, and I hope you've viewed them as successfully as we have. Because our beta wasn't about testing our tech. We've had this alpha server running for over a year with tons of people on it. We've done tons of stress tests. We know our tech works. We know our game is solid. What our beta was about was trying to beta our service strategy, our service motto that Trion keeps talking about, but it's so hard to show. It's so hard to display this attitude, hard to prove it. Every single beta we've added features. Zone events did not exist before beta 3. They were not automated before beta 4. We did not have open grouping before beta 5. These are features that other games do not add until they're years old. We listen to our community. We know that the community and the guilds are the core of our game. That's what's going to keep us able to make content, able to keep working on this game for years to come. So we hope that we get to continue that with our rapid updates, to listen to the community and release things as rapidly as possible in an polished state. We have veterans from nearly every single MMO that has launched in the last 10 years, from World of Warcraft, Ion, Lineage, EQ2, City of Heroes, Warhammer, the list goes on, and we have been through this launch before. Key for us is to celebrate the values that made great games like EverQuest and WoW, and even games like Lineage and Ion. These games have communities that are very dedicated, and that's what we want. So Sebastian's probably going to keep playing, showing off different sights and sounds, but I won't ask for questions because I'm not sure I'll get as many as I will in the one-on-ones. So that's about it. Thank you.